somebody's going to be talking with me here. Flynn, there's Marcus, there's Nikolaus, there's Mary, this is Flynn, a street dog from the streets of LA. Wait, some people are in the waiting room, I got to let them in. Okay, admit all. Okay. All right, I'll keep an eye on the waiting room, and I think we can start. So, first of all, I want to welcome you all, and thank you for taking part. As you can see, I'm in, well, maybe you can't see that, but I'm in Italy, in our farmhouse down here in Italy, and it's a rainy day. Otherwise, I'd be outside giving the talk, but then I would be all wet. Okay, and we don't have 330 days of sunshine like some other countries. First, let me introduce myself, because there's some new people. I'm going to describe myself as a healer and explain why I'm a healer. And at the end, I'm going to say I'm not a healer, and that's a paradox, but I'll explain the paradox as well. So first of all, my name is Paul Scorpin, and this is Flynn. He's an undocumented dog from the drug cartel in Mexico, really. So we brought him here to safety that Mr. Trump won't send him out of the country to some far-off island. And yeah, I'm just down here because I've taken some time to write on my book, and also some time to walk and some time to do talks like this. Okay, let's get to the paradox. I am a healer, or I'm known as a healer, because now I've got to let the other dog in. Sorry. And the reason why I'm known as a healer is because I had the very, very good fortune of spending the last 6 years of the life of one of the greatest healers we know of recent time, and that was Daskalos. He was known as Daskalos, which means, in Greek, it means teacher or guru. But his given name, his Christian name, was Stylianos Ateshelis. And I watched him heal, not only physical healings, but also spiritual healings, it means emotional healings, every day for 6 years until he had a stroke himself. He had a stroke, yeah. And so he was bedridden and speechless. And he was actually my first client, really. He encouraged me to come up and heal with him routinely every year. And I just said, no, I don't understand healing. You got to get down, Bub. Because back then I was very much in my head, and I thought healing was not something I would ever be able to do, even though Daskalos reassured me that I would be a healer. And he was right, and he was right about a lot of things, an awful lot of things. And he was also a great role model as a healer, because he was the picture of humility, absolute picture of humility. And he was a perfect balance between love, power, and wisdom. And after staying a year on, after Daskalos passed over, to get some of his papers in order and everything in order, and get ready to leave the island, then I ended up landing in Munich because of my future wife, Brigitte. And people called me up and said, you know, we know you were by Daskalos quite a bit. Can you heal like Daskalos? I said, no, I can't heal like Daskalos. And they said, can you please try? And I said, well, I'll try, you know, because I did have that role model in me. And people started to come, and then I started to develop a technique. And that's why I'm here, to talk about the technique that I teach. Daskalos was what you might call a faith healer or a miracle healer. He did instantaneous healings. he didn't really have time to work long on people because there were so many people there at the end. As some people know, there's two people here who personally knew Daskalos. And when I started to work, I realized that most of the reason why people are getting ill, either emotionally or physically, is because there's something wrong with them. Not wrong with them, but there's something mistaken about their emotional life or mental life. And so, some of you might know that Daskalos' spirit guide is John from the Gospel of John. And John basically took me under his wing in Munich because I was quite lost. And John started advising me on how to heal, and he advises me even to this day, and for which I'm terribly grateful. I don't feel particularly worthy, but he does that. And he instructed me to work a lot with his gospel, the Gospel of John, which I do. I'm actually teaching it right now, tomorrow. John, in the Gospel of John, Jesus always heals on the Sabbath, on the sixth day, meaning that they end up actually being transformed into what we call the heart chakra. And that's why he said, why don't you tell people to come to you for a series of treatments, what's now known as the 7 treatments, which is built completely up from the Gospel of John. And the reason why I said I call myself a healer, even though I'm not a healer, is because Daskalos himself, if you read the books from Markides, and Markides was my university professor, you had the impression Daskalos was very active as a healer, where in fact Daskalos was very passive as a healer. And Daskalos' role model was Jesus Christ himself. And Jesus Christ is considered to be one of the most powerful healers of all time. However, Jesus Christ says time and time again, I'm doing nothing, the source or my Father's doing everything through me, meaning that Jesus was also passive to a greater will. And I'm going to be on the island of Cyprus in May to teach a workshop. That's why I'm giving this talk. And at the end you can ask questions about it. And the workshop is a combination of what I call Healing 1 and Healing 2. And in Healing 1, we spend 4 days going deeply into the teachings of Daskalos, what he taught about the 3 bodies, what he taught about elementals, thought forms and emotion forms, and what he also taught us all about karma, family karma, personal karma, and also collective karma. And so, but also over the 4 days of Healing 1, we're going to develop what we call the basic treatment. And we do that, I teach that in a combination of giving talks, like I am now, but also doing a lot of meditation work and doing a lot of hands-on healing as a group, that we slowly go into it, because healing is very hard to understand. And a matter of fact, healing has more to do with unlearning, de-learning what we have, what we know. Why? Because all of us in the Western world are trained to be very, very active, very active. We place a primacy on activity, and we learn very young that we have to be active. And what I teach, based on Daskalos' teachings and on the teachings of Jesus Christ, is actually a healer is fully passive. And that means we have to put everything aside, even our ego aside, which is why healing is one of the most beautiful things to do. Yeah, it really is one of the most. I'm so grateful that I'm allowed to lay my hands on people, and people trust me to do this, because there's nothing more. And I really mean this right now. There's nothing more beautiful than healing. And as a matter of fact, many of us are on a spiritual path, and the goal of a spiritual path is to come into contact with trust, peace, love, joy. And what we do is we lay our hands on somebody in complete surrender to the Christ energy and the Holy Spirit energy and the Archangel's energy, and they flow over us into the client. So we're bathed, as a healer, we're bathed in all these beautiful energies, you know. It's not for us, but it's going to come over us, come over our faith, come over our hands, come over our hearts, and into the clients. So this is what we do in the first 4 days of healing 1, and then that runs from Saturday until Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, whoever wants to take part, we're going to take a bus trip to Strovolos, where I used to live, and I'll show you the places where I used to live. We can see Dascalus's house from outside. We can see the Stoa from outside. We can see the church where he was, where the service was for his burial. We can see also his grave and so forth. And then we also need that day off to digest healing 1, and then on Thursday through Sunday, so the next 4 days, we go deeply into healing 2. Now, healing 2 is where I start to teach what's called the 7 treatments. And the reason why I wait for healing 2 is because whoever takes healing 1 may not be open to be fully passive, okay? And like I said, it takes a long time to be fully passive. I teach a lot of techniques on how we can enter that passivity. I actually describe a healer as a riverbed, and the water that flows through the river that flows through the riverbed is the divine mercy. Very simple image, but it says a lot. Because Dascalus was a great river, Christ was the Amazon, and if you stay long enough and do this long enough, and I've been doing it for 28 years, slowly you'll learn to be more at home in passivity. So it's like a meditation, actually. This balance of being passive and being fully present is something that can only be enjoyed. So in healing 2, then we're gonna go into actually 5 different healing techniques, and the reason I do that is because I want people to get used to laying the hands on people in passivity. So the first day of healing 2 is devoted to what's called cleaning the 2 streams that run through us. I don't know if some of you have done yoga before, and if you've done yoga before, and you learned it from India, then they talk about the female stream that runs through us, which is called the Ida energy, Ida, and the Pingala energy, which is the male energy. They actually flow through the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And they flow all through the body then, and they say in India that there are 72,000 nadis. Nadis are basically energy streams which flow through the body and feed the body with life. So we're going to talk about that, and on that day you're going to become a midwife to the Christ child, which is also very nice. And then on the second day we're going to go into some of the old Greek, one of the great Greek philosophers, Empedocles. I don't know if you know Empedocles, but he was a teacher about 500 years before Christ, who lived on the island of Sicily as a Greek. And he explained how the 4 elements relate to each other: water, fire, air, and earth. And of course, the body is composed of the 4 elements, and there's a treatment where you can actually bring the 4 elements in more in harmony in a client and in ourselves, of course, because as we see right now throughout the entire world, it's not only us who might not have the 4 elements in harmony, but it's also the Mother Nature. That's why we have so many calamities like these fires and earthquakes now in Greece. Because the Mother Earth is a living organism, and she's trying to bring these 4 elements in harmony. But we don't have to go into any guilt about this at all. And then on the third day of healing 2, I'm going to talk a lot about family karma, how family karma is created and how we experience it. We're going to go into a little bit about how trauma is created within a family. And then on the last day, we're going to before the last day of the whole retreat is a heart opening treatment where we actually allow the heart to open just for a short time or a longer time if possible. And all 4 of these treatments fit perfectly to the 7 treatments. And then I'm going to teach you also in healing too how to do a distant healing. Daskalos was a master of distant healing. I watched him do it over 6 years, and right now I'm doing a lot of distant healing right here now in Italy, and it's a very easy technique, but it's very important for us to know that as well. So that's a little bit about me and about what the workshop. The workshop's going to run from the 2nd of May until the 11th of May, so it's longer than a week. It goes from Saturday to Sunday, and as I said, the first we have 2 residents of Cyprus here. They can testify or confirm that you can have beautiful weather at the beginning of May. It's not 40 degrees, but it's could be easily 30 degrees or so. So it's also nice to do, for example, I'm very flexible about this. We can do like a morning session and then take a swim in the afternoon, and then go and do an evening session. You know, we can all decide this together. Whoever wants to take part. The hotel is called Aphrodite's Beach Hotel. It's in Polis, which is one of the nicest areas in Cyprus. And the owner of the hotel is a woman, Georgia, who says she has 2 spirit guides who take care of her hotel. That's why I'm there. One of them's the Mother Mary, and the other one's Daskalos. And she's a big Daskalos fan, and it's nice to be there because it's somewhat secluded, but it's also in walking distance to Aphrodite's bath place. We walked there last May, and Aphrodite was born on the island off the coast of Cyprus, and we'll visit where she was born out of the sea foam, and we can also visit the place where she bathed. Yeah, so Georgia is very happy that we're going to be there. She's very open for our work, and it's a family-run hotel, and they make excellent food as well, excellent food. And everybody has a nice room, so if you get a little, if you get a little bit, you feel like you need some time, you just go back to your room or go for a walk. Yeah. And as I said, Wednesday we'll do the travel, which is about a 3.5-hour trip to Strovolos to see my old stomping grounds. And once again, the way I teach healing is partly theoretical, but mostly hands-on treatments with meditations, and that's why we do so many treatments, that we get used to working with different elements of the body, of the chakras and the organs and so forth. And let me just say something about the 7 treatments, because that's the core of healing 2 and of healing 3 and 4. We are going through a paradigm shift. There's no doubt about it. There's no denying that we're going through a major paradigm shift that's affecting the entire globe. It's the first time that we've had a paradigm shift that we know about that is affecting the entire globe. And what we call the streams that flow from the divine, whether you call them Jesus or the Holy Spirit or the archangels, whatever name, whatever your religion tells you to call them, they are much more there for us than they have been recently. They're even much more there for us now than in the time that Daskalos was with us, because we need help. We need help because there's a lot of chaos and conflicts going on in many different countries and in families and so forth. And the Divine Mercy stands completely behind, and this is going to sound a little bit like I'm bragging, but trust me, I'm not bragging. The Divine Mercy stands perfectly behind a healer who is passive, because these streams have a lot more room to heal. I say something very simple. The more active I am, the more passive is the Divine Mercy. And the more passive I am, the more active or more space the Divine Mercy has. So, yeah, that's a description. And over the course of the last 28 years, I've developed extensive workbooks. So there's a workbook which belongs to Healing 1, thorough. It's like 30 pages, which describes everything that I teach, more actually. And there's a workbook for Healing 2 as well, and you'll get that as well. Yeah. It's not clear yet if the course is going to be in English and in German or just in English. We'll have to see about that. If it's going to be in German, I might get somebody to translate for me or I can do it in both languages. But then I remember when Daskalos took me into the inner circle, and there were a lot of Cypriots in the inner circle, and then he started teaching just for me in English. I think the Cypriots felt a little bit cheated because they felt like they were only going to get half the lesson. I didn't tell Daskalos to do that. I didn't tell him. Yeah. So why don't we do that? Why don't we can open it up now for questions. If you have any questions about the workshop, and I can only tell you that the best place to fly in, if you want to fly in, is going to be Paphos, because Paphos is the closest airport to Polis. Larnaca Airport is quite far away. It adds another 3 hours to the trip, or 2.5, I guess. I don't know. Am I wrong, Mary? I think 2.5 hours. Depends on the traffic. So that's the best place to fly into. But there are plenty of flights from to Paphos because a lot of foreigners live there. Okay, so you can turn on your microphones now if you want to ask me any questions, and I'm open for, but not about Daskalos or anything. I mean, you can if you want. I love talking about Daskalos. I'm writing extensively about Daskalos right now, really extensively, and I've been going through these 7 years in review. Yeah. So if you have any questions about the healing education, about how to get to Cyprus, about how we're going to do it, then I'm open for all your questions. I can see that most of you have your microphones off, so I don't know if I can turn them on. I guess I can. But I hear somebody has a microphone on. It must be Nicholas and Mary. Talk. Yeah, you do, because it's not you. It's okay, Nicholas. You can talk. I had to.
Questions. We're just listening.
I had to warn Nicholas to behave himself because he's got a good sense of humor. Let's put it that way. Nicholas and I used to play tennis.
That was a long time ago.
I know, but you're lucky you survived.
Yes.
Actually, let me tell you something about Nicholas. There's a very famous healing story about an old woman, a woman who was not that old at the time, who was basically bedridden because of scoliosis, and she was one of the miraculous healings that Daskalos performed, and that was Nicholas's mother, who went on to live a long life afterwards. Is that right, Nicholas?
That is correct. Yeah, that was described in the Magos of Strovolos book by Markides, chapter 6, healing.
Okay.
And Nicholas witnessed it.
Yep.
Oh, you were there? Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll keep. If you want to join the Cyprus workshop, I'll keep you away from Nicholas. Okay. Mary's great.
Okay.
No, we had a lot of fun last time when I was there in May. I was back for the first time after 28 years in May. Yes, please.
I have a question.
Please.
Obviously, I'm Irish and I started in the Christian tradition, but I really needed to learn to meditate. So I met my first Buddhist teacher about 30 years ago. Nice. So I have been following the Tibetan Buddhist tradition for years and years and years. So I don't think, I will have to stand up and say that I wouldn't say that I was what one would call a devout Christian, although I have a degree in theology, actually, which led me towards the Buddhism. But So I just don't know how I'd fit in, really.
No,
I
it's
mean,
to look at. Let me just no. Thank you for sharing that. Before I reached Daskalos, I spent 2 years in Kathmandu, and studied I studied extensively Buddhism and Hinduism. So I mean, like Daskalos was not at all dogmatic. He respected all the religions fully. And that's why when I say about the two streams being cleaned, most people know them as the Ida and the Pingala,
Yeah, well, I'm reading to a lot of salon practices and stuff like that. On the winds, Okay. I mean, I obviously understand all the Christian thing, having...
Yeah, sure.
From my origins and with a degree in theology, but it's been a long time since I've been studying the Bible.
Yeah, no, sometimes you have to go away from the religion that you inherit from your culture and your parents to fully understand it, because if you often have to see it through another religion to really understand it. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the only as you know, the only difference between Buddhism and Hindu and Christianity is one stresses love and the other one compassion. But compassion is love. So
you open your heart, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's all the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's answered the question.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, because sometimes in a Christian community, they can get very upsetting.
I'm American by birth, and I've been away from the States for about 35 years or longer now. My goodness, and I know about fundamental Christianity pretty well. I was raised a Quaker. So
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. No, I suppose it was just I had a Russian Orthodox priest, waving across at me and telling me to repent, and I thought, I just don't want to put myself into a difficult position.
No, I know. Yeah.
Without me saying anything much. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Yeah. Anybody else have a question? Tiago? No questions? Was I that clear about the education?
Hello, Paul. Yes, perfectly.
Okay.
I understand all the models. Thank you very much for explaining. Quite to the point. And thank you very much for explaining.
Okay.
So would you recommend any reading prior to joining the course, since it's been a long time since I've been studying the Bible?
Now I'm speaking German. The thing is about Markides' books. Markides wrote 3 books about Daskalos, against Daskalos' will. He wrote the Magus of Strovolos, which you can actually...
I've read that one, yeah.
You've read that, yeah. And those are spiritual classics. They really are. And I'm glad that Markides wrote them, even though he went against Daskalos' will. But what Daskalos didn't realize is how important he was as a role model to us. You see, Daskalos had no ego, and when you have no ego, you think you're not important.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you're not.
No, too true.
No, so the 3 books from Markides are good to read. Even just one is good to read if you want to take part, because I do use the language at Daskalos. I talked about elementals, and as
I read the 3 books of Markides. They're in Portuguese from Brazil.
Yeah, they're classics.
The research of Brazil, they translated Portuguese. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're classics. Yeah. And I know that you can get the Magus of Strovolos online now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoever there's a couple of books I would recommend if somebody's going to take part, but whoever signs up, I can send you a list of books to look into.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far is the hotel from the airport?
It's about an hour, maybe less, 45 minutes, Nicholas, huh? Yeah.
And get transport okay? Can you get a bus or?
You can get a bus. You can. Nicholas will pick you up.
Okay. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you.
Okay. Thank you, Nicholas.
No, the thing is, if enough people land at the same time, then we can arrange a transfer from the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, or I'll come and get you. I'll have a rental car. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have you been to Cyprus? Have you visited the island?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a lovely island.
There's lots of places, but not to Cyprus.
It's a lovely island, really lovely island. Yeah, has a long, long history.
I lived in Malta for about 18 months. That's the closest I've been. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I'll tell you, we can end the meeting now. I guess there's no more questions. But Daskalos was there was an archbishop who was also prime minister of Cyprus, Markarios, and he was the president of the island. And then there was a state visit from Greece, and I don't know who the prime minister was from Greece there, but he came and. The minister from Greece, or the president of Greece, said to Markarios, your island is a prostitute. You've slept with the Egyptians. You slept with the Hittites. You slept with the Romans. And then Markarios said to him, with a mother like Greece, it's no wonder. Great answer.
Oh, yeah. So we had some humor as well, right?
Daskalos had. Most people don't know this, but Daskalos had a lot of humor. Daskalos was like a child. He was really like a child in his innocence, and that was one of the most beautiful things about Daskalos is he was totally in the moment. But after lunch every day, because we would have lunch at his house, he would normally tell a dirty joke. No, I'm not kidding. He would. There's only one I remember, and we can end with that, okay? Because I finally get to say it in English because it doesn't work in German. So Daskalos would say, and I was very puritanical because I was raised in New England by Quakers, and so he said, what's the difference between a woman in the bathtub and a priest in the church? Oh, did you hear that, Mary? What's the difference between a woman in a bathtub and a priest in a church? And we'll end on this, because this is what we'll end on. So, one has hope in his soul, and the other one has soap in her hole. So, yeah, it's funny. I turned beet red when he said that. I would just turn totally red like a tomato when he said that because, sometimes I think he was working on my Puritanism, to free me from it. So, no, Daskalos had it. Daskalos was really like he was like a child, and then he'd get such a kick out of it to himself, most people think Daskalos was very serious, but he wasn't serious, Yeah. Okay, folks, and you got an email from me. So if you want to contact us, if you have any more questions about how to get to Cyprus and about the workshop, then we can definitely help you with it. Okay. Oh, I should bring Flynn. Yeah. We have a big.
Thank you very much, Paul.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Okay, take care, everybody. Take care.
All right. Beautiful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It'll be nice to see you, Paul.
Okay, it'd be great to see you guys. Yeah, I'll come a couple days earlier. Okay.
Okay.
And stay a few days longer. Okay, if you'll have me.
Perfect.
Okay.
You're more than welcome. I'll wait for you at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, just like last time. Yeah. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.